Hello and welcome to London Vibes. I'm Sandeep and I have the pleasure of bringing to you Property Matters. Yes, indeed. Anything and everything to do with properties. Buying, selling, residential, commercial. We'll also be talking about mortgages. इसके अलावा buy to let. इसमें कौन कौन सी चीज़ें हैं जिनका आपको ध्यान रखना है. घर, properties, property developers, इन सब से भी बात होगी. लेकिन जब हम इस जर्नी पे जाएंगे तो जो कुछ लोग इस बिज़नेस में काफ़ी सालों से हैं, उनके जो एक्सपीरियंसेस हैं, उनके जो टिप्स हैं, वो भी उनसे लेंगे, उनसे एडवाइस भी लेंगे, क्योंकि उनके एडवाइस लेकर सीखना और उसके बाद अपना जो प्रॉपर्टी का या बिज़नेस है, या अगर आपने अपना पहला घर खरीदना है एज अ फर्स्ट टाइम बायर, तो उसमें आपको कौन कौन सी चीज़ों का ध्यान रखना है, ये सब बातें हम करेंगे. इस प्रोग्राम पे हमारे एक प्रॉपर्टी रेजिडेंट प्रॉपर्टी एक्सपर्ट भी होंगे जो हैं जो जोशी. उनसे भी बातचीत हमारी होती रहेगी रेगुलर बेसिस पे. इसके अलावा कई सारे गेस्ट होंगे, उसमें इंडिपेंडेंट फाइनेंशियल एडवाइजर्स भी होंगे, प्रॉपर्टी डेवलपर्स भी होंगे. हम अलग अलग प्रॉपर्टीज़ पे भी जाएंगे जहाँ पे हम आपको एक्शन, मतलब जो हमारा काम हो रहा है होते हुए उसके दौरान कौन कौन सी चीज़ें हमें ध्यान में रखनी है, ये सब चीज़ें दिखाएंगे. अब जो हम कहते हैं कि भाई ये इतना ज़रूरी क्यों है, क्योंकि ये तो मानी हुई बात है ना, रोटी कपड़ा और मकान. रोटी आप बना रहे हैं, कपड़े आप खरीद रहे हैं, और मकान तो वो कहते हैं ना, हमारे पूरी उम्र की जो सबसे महंगी परचेज़ है वो मकान होती है. तो उसके बारे में थोड़ा सा सोचना, थोड़ा सा उसके बारे में गौर करना और थोड़ा सा एडवाइस लेना फ्रॉम द पीपल हु नो इट ऑल. आई थिंक दैट इज़ समथिंग आई हैव द प्लेजर ऑफ ब्रिंगिंग टू यू ऑन अ प्लेट. नाउ इफ़ यू मेक द मोस्ट ऑफ इट एंड इफ़ देयर इज़ समथिंग दैट यू लाइक टू सी अ बिट मोर ऑफ, या आपका कोई और फीडबैक है, या आप कोई ख़ास चीज़ इसके बारे में पूछना चाहते हैं, तो ईमेल एड्रेस हमारा प्रोग्राम के बाद आएगा, तो उस पर आप हमारे साथ रब्ता कायम कर सकते हैं, और I will try and bring all those issues for you in the program. आज मेरी बात होगी एक इंस्पिरेशनल पर्सनालिटी. कौन है वो बाद में बताऊंगी, लेकिन जो हमारे रेजिडेंशियल एक्सपर्ट हैं जो जोशी, उनसे बात होगी इन जस्ट अ फ्यू मिनट्स. एज आई सेड कि हम अपने गेस्ट से भी मिलेंगे, तो वहीं पे हम जा रहे हैं. लेकिन आप देख रहे होंगे कि पीछे पीछे बहुत सारी चीज़ें जो हम ड्राइव करते हुए भी ऑब्जर्व करते हैं. अब वो कौन सी बातें हैं, ये एक हाउस डॉक्टर की हैसियत से भी मुझे बहुत इंटरेस्ट करती है. और हम लोग जब ड्राइव करते हैं ना, तो भी आप नोट करते हैं घर के बाहर क्या हो रहा है. दीवार जो है वो थोड़ी टूटी हुई है, बाहर पुरानी मैट्रेसेस वगैरह पड़ी हुई हैं. अब आप सोचे होंगे कि प्रॉपर्टी मैटर्स है और उस पर ये सारी बातें कहाँ से हो रही हैं, लेकिन ये भी विद टाइम आपको पता लगेगा कि इसकी क्या इम्पोर्टेंस है और इसके बारे में क्यों बात हो रही है, और ये क्यों रजिस्टर हम लोग करते हैं ये सारी चीज़ें. और स्पेशली हिंट है आपके लिए, स्पेशली अगर आप घर बेच रहे हैं तो उसमें इन चीज़ों की कितनी इम्पोर्टेंस है, ये भी हम बात करेंगे लेटर ऑन. लेकिन राइट नाउ वी आर ऑन अ वे टू मीट आवर गेस्ट, सो स्टे ट्यून्ड. As promised, here I am with my resident property expert, Joe. When it comes to property, this is a subject very close to my heart. I like talking about property because I also want to find out more about it. And when it's about finding out more about it, it's nothing less than an expert that I like to talk to. And that is exactly what I want you to benefit from as well. So let's say hello to Joe. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Very well. And I know you've been in this business for a very long time, and that is exactly where I am coming from. I want some advice, I want some tips, I want to know what's going on these days. So what is the current status? Because I think our Prime Minister, he's just recently made an announcement, made a lot of people very happy. Some people still not too sure. So do you want to start with that?
Yes, Sandy, it's always a pleasure talking about property. It's a passion of mine too. That's why we share it together. And the Prime Minister in the current climate has made things a lot more attractive to especially first-time buyers. In the last 7 years, the market has been at a standstill. And people have often dipped a few times, and people have always been uncertain to what to do, how to go about it, what's going to happen. If we all had a crystal ball, we could give the answers, but unfortunately that's not the case. So more recently, small changes have happened, and so they're good changes.
So what is this announcement all about then?
Well, the announcement is that recently the government has decided to offer the government's guarantee towards first-time buyers who want to get back on the property ladder. The reality is that unless the property market is motoring forward, everything else stands still. And so I think they realized that. So they decided that what they need to do is to motivate first-time buyer youngsters to get back on the property ladder. The banks have always been a little bit hesitant in doing that.
But I think they're opening the doors.
They're now beginning to open the doors. And so it's a great time, great opportunity for those that are looking to get on the market. And great timing for the program, because I think it's great to be given those guidances where we can help, show and do the necessary things.
So would you say that with this announcement, the property market is kind of picking up a little bit?
Of course, it's motivating the market. There's no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. And if you look around you, there is a little spring in everyone's step. There's a bit of a buzz going on. There's a buzz in the banking market. I'm sure you
see the spring more than I do.
With
the property glasses that you wear.
Exactly. I'd be lying if I wasn't that way inclined. But
I think people also have a spring because it's a festive season approaching soon.
Well, the festive season is good. I'm sure in some cases Diwali and Santa Claus and all those things will come good. But in a way, maybe that's exactly what the government has done, is actually giving a little bit of an early Christmas present, an early Diwali present to potential buyers in the marketplace.
Well, I mentioned the festive season not only because, yes, it's Christmas and it's time off again, but also because I think there are a lot of surveys around, the buying attitudes of people around this time. There are people who are either looking into buying a property or in the new year. So would you say this is a good time for them to be venturing out?
Right now, the motivation has been created for people to get onto the ladder. There is no better time than the present, probably better than it has been in the previous 7 years.
You do say motivation, but it is realistic.
It is realistic.
How?
It is realistic because at the end of the day, in this country, I've always felt that most people gauge their wealth, if you like, their well-doing, based on the fact that they have an investment or a property. Well, that's our strive. We strive to achieve that goal. From younger children onwards, our parents have always motivated us to say that, you should have your own place. One day you should do certain things. So there is never a wrong time in that. It's just that the circumstances haven't been good, but the circumstances are now better.
So what is the guarantee that the government is giving? How much money, or is there a percentage, and how much percentage of it is the government promising? And do we still have to get together 5 to 20% as how things were about a year or so ago, as a deposit towards buying your first house?
The scheme, from my understanding, that the government has offered is based on twofold. One is that they will actually offer a builder developer. This is how the scheme was originally offered to first-time buyers for brand new properties. So developers were given the guarantee by the government for 20% of the loan. So let's take, for example, £100,000 as a baseline to work with. £20,000 of that £100,000, they give a guarantee. 5% you would have an input from your personal funds. The guarantee, what that really said to the developer was that you will lend them all of the 95%, but in the event something went wrong in their life, the government will step in and ensure that 20%. So they're not physically handing out, £20,000 to somebody. It's part of a setup in the scheme.
So in simple words, government's helping with that 20%. So how long do you have to either return that or pay towards that 20%? How does that work for the buyer?
For the buyer, it is based on the fact that the developer has had that guarantee from the government. So until they sell the property or move on, that stays in situ. I mean, if they're there for the lifetime, then it stays in situ.
Mm-hmm.
But most people won't. And I assume what they've done is they based it on the fact that every 5 to 7 years, as statistics say, people tend to move. In the first time buyer market, it's normally 18 months, 2 years, because you got a step. You now are going to probably go to the next stage, maybe, find a partner, get married, want a bigger home. So they think that that will happen over a period of 18 months, 2 years, 2.5 years. They will see that return back. But it's a motivation to say to somebody, look, we know that you can't get all the funds yourself, so here we are.
We'll continue with this conversation, but after a short break. Welcome back. Let's go back to Joe and continue where we left off. We were talking about borrowing money. Now, in terms of, this was for the first-time buyers.
Yeah.
So is there also a slab in terms of how much money you can borrow? What is the maximum amount of money that the government would help you with?
Their scheme says up to £600,000 of value of property.
Oh, okay.
But of course, it's all relative to the status of a person. If the circumstances doesn't allow them to borrow that, they don't have the income and so forth, then that will vary. But the scheme is up to the value of 600,000.
Because that was another thing that I was thinking about. Because जैसे अगर हम बात करें लंदन की ही बात करें तो लंदन में भी कई एरियाज ऐसे हैं जहाँ पे अगर फर्स्ट टाइम बायर भी है तो उसको 100,000 में तो कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला. अगर आप फ्लैट भी देख रहे हैं, स्टूडियो फ्लैट भी देख रहे हैं, लंदन में तो नहीं मिलेगा. So that's why I wanted to know कि क्या स्लैब है, कहाँ से स्टार्ट होता है, क्या मिनिमम है, क्या मैक्सिमम है. So up to 600,000.
Up to 600,000, yeah. And what they're saying is, the average house price in London is now 255,000. So people will move out of the areas into the outer suburbs of London.
So before we move on to anything else, I want to also figure out, is that only for flats or houses or bungalows? किस तरह की property है? Does that also have a...
All properties.
Oh, all properties.
पहले, first time they raised the scheme was only for new property.
Okay.
But then about 2 weeks ago, they extended that to all kinds of properties.
तो इसमें ऐसे भी कोई शर्तें हैं कि मान लीजिएगा अगर आपने इस स्कीम पे कोई प्रॉपर्टी खरीदी है तो you have to live in that property for X amount of time कि आप उससे पहले उसको नहीं बेच सकते हैं because you've had some help from the government or something?
No, I don't think there's any time scale. It's just a stepping stone.
Anywhere connected, related or similar to जो housing associations आपको help देती हैं?
Housing association के नहीं. That's a
shared ownership.
Separate scheme altogether.
Okay, so what do you think? Do you think कि इसका लोगों के लिए अच्छा टेकअप होगा या नहीं होगा?
बहुत अच्छा है. Building societies और banks ने पहले कह दिया था. I think first day this was released, RBS was reporting कि queues लगी हुई थी mortgage application के लिए.
Well, that is just the flavor of what we would be talking about on this program or this segment, Property Matters. लेकिन इसी तरह की और बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जिनके बारे में हम लोग detail में discuss करेंगे later on. So just to get an idea, Joe, what are the other areas that you would like to cover as an expert? Because you see this day in, day out and have been in this business for a long, long time. So you give me an overview of what the current situation is. What are the other things which would be really beneficial for people to know if they're buying or selling? What are the other things that we would be covering in the next few weeks and months?
Sandy, that's like opening Pandora's box.
So please do.
Where would you like me to start and where would you like me to finish?
Let's start here right now.
The fact is that this is a subject not only close to my heart, but I know for a fact that It is close to a lot of viewers' hearts as well. It's passion. And no matter where I go, what I do in my time, people are constantly asking me, what do I do about this? How do I go about this? But more than anything else, Sandy, the thing you have to take in mind is that the areas it covers is such a wide subject. So to give you some indication of the things that we could cover and we could talk about, we will cover, property buying, selling, developing, whatever, residential, sales, commercial, whatever. But more than that, we will actually bring on board people who can give us guidance for taxation, because inheritance, and also where trusts are concerned, there's a whole bunch of areas that are actually very related to this very subject. And away from here, I'm asked that question constantly, individually. And I'm sure your viewers will love to see some results of those things. Then, of course, there's the part where you're talking about presenting. It's very close to my heart in terms of how a property should be presented, what is going to get you the best value, how we can help you achieve those things. So that's just some of the areas that we'll cover. But I'm sure if you gave me the rest of the day, I'll talk about it forever.
Not today. Well, that was fascinating, going into the mind of a property developer, property person. He thinks, breathes, eats, everything about him is property related. We would be speaking to him and meeting him again another time. But right now, I'm going to take you to meet another person who is inspirational, because he started with one business. He got really good at it. And then he thought it's time to move on and get into something different. What is the journey? Where did he start? What happened along the way? Has he got any tips, advice for all the youngsters listening? Anybody who wants to get into property business maybe, or maybe into farming? How is that connected? You'll know that when you meet my next guest. I promised an inspirational guest, and that is exactly where I am. I am in the company of Jaswant Singh Dhillon. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਹਾਂ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਪੁੱਛਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਵੀ how was his journey from India to here, from his farm business to his property business. ਇਹੀ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। But first of all, let's welcome him. ਹਾਂਜੀ, hello ਜੀ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ? ਠੀਕ ਠਾਕ? ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਠੀਕ ਠਾਕ। ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਏ ਹੋਏ। ਹਾਂਜੀ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਦੱਸੋ ਆਪਣੀ ਜਰਨੀ ਬਾਰੇ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਫਾਰਮ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਕੀਤੇ, ਉਹ ਕਾਫੀ ਸਕਸੈਸਫੁਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ। ਹਾਂਜੀ। ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਦੱਸੋ। ਫਾਰਮ ਜੀ ਮੈਂ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਕੀਤਾ 90 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, 1990 'ਚ। ਐਂਡ ਫਾਰਮ ਪਹਿਲੋਂ ਰੈਂਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਲੈਂਡ ਤੋਂ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ। ਫਿਰ ਕੋਈ 10 ਸਾਲ ਰੈਂਟਡ ਲੈਂਡ 'ਤੇ ਕੀਤਾ। 2000 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਿਰ ਲੈਂਡ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਮੈਂ ਬਾਈ ਕਰ ਲਈ। ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਾਰਮ ਦਾ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ, ਮਤਲਬ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਾਰਮਿੰਗ ਹੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਜਾਂ? ਬੈਕਗਰਾਊਂਡ ਤੇ ਦੇਖੋ ਜੀ, ਅਸੀਂ ਜੱਟ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਨੂੰ ਬਿਲੋਂਗ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਫਾਰਮਿੰਗ ਹੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ। ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਪਰਟੀਕੂਲਰਲੀ ਮਾਈਸੈਲਫ ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਫਾਰਮਿੰਗ ਕੀਤੀ, ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਨੇ ਕੀਤੀ। ਮੈਂ ਛੋਟਾ ਸੀ, ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਗਿਆ 22-23 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ। ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਆ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਖੂਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬਲੱਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੈਕਗਰਾਊਂਡ ਦੀ ਫਾਰਮਿੰਗ ਸੀ। ਅਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਾਰਮ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰੋ, ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਲੋਟ ਆਫ when I started, a lot of herb, especially what I was growing for the supermarket and local market, the demand ਬਹੁਤ ਸੀ। ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਚਲੋ ਟਰਾਈ। ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਰਬਸ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗਰੋ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਫਾਰਮ 'ਤੇ? ਹਰਬ ਜੀ ਮੈਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸਿੰਗ ਪੀਪਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਪਲਾਈ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ। ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਰੈਡੀ ਮੀਲ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਸੁਪਰ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਲਈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਪਲਾਈ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ। ਲਾਈਕ ਕੋਰੀਐਂਡਰ, ਸਪਿਨਚ, ਪਾਰਸਲੀ, ਮਿੰਟ, 2-3 ਟਾਈਪ ਆਫ ਸਪਿਨਚ। ਅਤੇ ਉਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਗਰੋ ਕਰਦੇ। ਕੋਈ 400-500 ਏਕੜ ਐਵਰੇਜ ਇਨ ਸੀਜ਼ਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਗਰੋ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਜੀ। ਇਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਾਰਮਿੰਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਨਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇਨਵੋਲਵ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ, ਉਹ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਕਿਉਂ ਆਇਆ? ਉਹ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਆਇਆ ਕਿ ਦੇਖੋ ਜੀ, ਫਾਰਮਿੰਗ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਟਾਈਮ ਸੀ।
ਤੇ ਅਪ ਟੂ 2003 ਤੱਕ ਵੈਰੀ ਗੁੱਡ ਟਾਈਮ ਸੀ।
ਅੱਛਾ।
ਫਿਰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਮੈਂ 2000 ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀ 'ਚ ਆਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਫਸਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਲਾਬ 'ਚ ਲਈ ਸੀ, ਅਤੇ ਉਹ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀ ਵਾਲੇ ਇਨਵੋਲਵ ਹੋ ਗਏ। ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀ ਦਾ ਪੋਰਟਫੋਲੀਓ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਠੀਕ ਲੱਗਾ, तो फार्म वालों थोड़ा जहा ब्रेक लगती गई।
हम लोग बात कर रहे थे फार्म्स की, अब फार्म्स से प्रॉपर्टी बिजनेस, अब उसके बारे में आप मुझे थोड़ा सा बताएं कि आपने ये कब स्टार्ट किया, व्हेन डिड यू वेंचर out into a new business, how did that start?
Property business we started in 2000 June, went in commercial property and bought some residential flat above the property in 2000. Then उसके आगे फिर every year ऐसे commercial and residential buy करते रहे।
Okay. तो ये जो ट्रांजिशन था पहले फार्मिंग का है ना, तो वहाँ से फिर प्रॉपर्टीज में कैसे आपका इंटरेस्ट ज़्यादा हुआ?
जी जैसे मैंने पहले बोला कि जब फार्म से थोड़ा प्रॉफिट हुआ तो मैंने सोचा भी किधर इन्वेस्ट करें। तो
आप फार्म को भी तो डबल कर सकते थे।
नहीं, फार्म को और डबल करने का तभी आइडिया नहीं था कि उसको ज़्यादा आगे करें, तो मैंने बोला कुछ प्रॉपर्टी में भी डालें। सो जैसे ये बोलते ना कि सारे पैसे एक पास से ना लगाओ, डोंट कीप इट ऑल इन वन बास्केट। सो थोड़ा इधर चेंज करा, पर इधर भी अच्छा रिजल्ट निकला प्रॉपर्टी का जब भी बाई करा था।
Do you think ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਕਿ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਹੁਣ ਕਾਫੀ ਇਨੀਸ਼ੀਏਟਿਵਸ ਉਹ ਲੈਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਯੂ نو ਇਵਨ ਐਜ਼ ਅ ਬਾਇਰ ਫਸਟ ਟਾਈਮ ਬਾਇਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਨਾਓ ਫॉर somebody like you, do you also get a lot of initiatives from the government to invest in other things, or do you think it's become a bit harder now?
No, it's not for people like us। ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਫੈਸਿਲਿਟੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੰਦੀ, ਬਟ ਜੋ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਨਵਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਦਿਸ ਈਅਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਲੋ ਲਿਆਂਦਾ PD ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਦਾ, that help us people like myself and other people who buy any commercial property to convert that property in a resi is a lot easier than before. It's a lot easier. So you can buy any commercial property, and as long you meet a local authority specification or whatever they want, it's cover the highway and other conditions, you can a lot easier to convert in residence.
So from somebody who's seen so much, achieved so much, what would be your message to everybody watching?
For youngsters, there is no problem in this country. They're born here, they had education here. A lot easier for him, because I come from India and 32 years ago. Very difficult to face outside, bank people, you don't understand the culture. And for them to start anything is a lot easier than what we've been through. I mean, if they want to come in any business or property business, is a lot easier. They can start. You can't straight away go where is higher side, but from the start it's a lot easier for the youngster here. Our community children is a lot easier for them because all the parents is behind them. They got support from the parents. For us, we have no support when we came here.
ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਆਪਣੀ determination ਸੀਗੀ ਨਾ?
Yeah, but ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ they are lucky because we are here. Yeah. So we will support. We all supporting them, and if parents supporting them, the children can take a lot higher than what we achieve here.
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਠੀਕ। ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਲਈ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ੁਕਰੀਆ, ਧੰਨਵਾਦ, and hopefully we'll come and meet you sometime again in the future. But in the meantime, thank you very much and all the best.
Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed Property Matters with us today. And I'm glad the weather held out for us, so I could actually go out and about for a little while. I hope you can join us next time, and I'll be talking to some more experts and bringing you a lot of good information, maybe some tips and advice as well on the way. If you do want to get in touch with us, the email is down there. I will wait to see you next time. Until then, take care and goodbye.